what's going on, everybody? I'm here today to do something a little bit different. So, as you guys may know, I did a Rwby Ice Queendom review a while back, actually. I reviewed the first 3 episodes, and I'm basically using that as a catalyst for springing into Rwby Regular. Because, believe it or not, I actually I am fully caught up on the show and just everything in general. So, I thought it would be a good idea to just talk about my rankings before the new part comes out and before Ice Queendom finishes. That way I can cash in on a little bit of the leftover hype from the English dub coming out. Now, we're going to be going in kind of numerical order, but I can't remember, or like when they came out, but I don't remember the exact dates of the trailers. So we're kind of just going with that. Anyway, Red trailer. Really, really good looking. Obviously built a lot of hype for the show. But when I watched it, there's no real story, like, at all. So, it's kind of like it's a fun action scene. Like, if it was, but it's not really relevant to the show, but it's still really, really nice looking. So I think an A tier. Because when I was watching Rwby, I initially didn't actually watch any of the trailers. I straight up went to volume 1, 2, because they had that that was back when they had the complete volumes of Rwby on Tubi. So you type in Rwby and then volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like all that. And that's how I watched the show initially. So I literally got through it without needing any background context. Because guess what? This didn't even give that much background context. All we knew was that Rwby could fight really well. So, not really anything crazy. I'll go over the white trailer next. White trailer, I actually don't like it initially as much, but I would say it's pretty good. Obviously, the animation and everything, it's just, the stage performance was nice. However, as notable, because everyone's been talking about it, not recently, but this has been a debate for the longest time, Weiss's scar has been very confusing. So I think having that unnecessary, like, it's very, very messy, because it confused a great number of people for the longest time. So, it's not great. The black trailer, I actually liked this one. I think I liked it a little bit more with Rwby because it kind of gave us a little bit of insight. Like, it was a little, because Rwby's was literally just, or the red trailer was literally just hit Beowulf good. That looks good. Good job, guys. I mean, we did get to see a little bit of Summer, but that we had no context to that whatsoever. So, And then the yellow trailer, personally, I like it more than the black trailer, but I don't think it's better. I think it's worse. Now, I enjoyed it more and I thought it was interesting. It does rank above the red trailer because it, showed something and actually gave us, something cool, something crisp. Actually, looking at this, no. I think I'm going to move everything down just by how, because looking at these are literally filler. Like, I know everyone loves these trailers, but they're actually filler. Like, you do not need to watch these to understand Rwby whatsoever. Like, at all. Like, in any sort of the word. So, yeah. That was a spicy take, but speaking of spicy takes, I'm gonna give Volume 1 an A tier. It's very charming, very fun, and really, really cool. Now, obviously, I would say that the later half of it, for example, the John arc, but even when they have that toss up with Blake and they try to, like, honestly, I forgot that was volume 1. I thought it was volume 2 because for me, after they get introduced to school, it kind of loses like track of everything. Like it kind of feels it definitely slows down, which is something that you notice where like Rwby does have a pacing issue, I would say, where they either front load everything or they try to save everything towards like the last 8 episodes, like with the later volumes. But we'll talk more about that later. Anyway, volume 2. Volume 2. I am not a big fan of volume 2. There's some good moments in it. Some good moments. Yeah. The train fight is really good, and some of the interactions between the characters is really fun, and there's a few good fights. But the ending is like pretty bad, like very anticlimactic. And honestly, the thing is they could have made it easier for themselves. Like I honestly think that volume 2 would have been better if after the train crashed, they just Roman like is dug up. They're all dug up from under the rubble, and they're like, "Oh, we got Roman Torchrick." Like it wouldn't have been like it. I think it might have actually been a better climax than the climax we got, which is really sad. You know, like imagine the climax of your show, and you're like, "Yeah, I kind of wished you ended like 2 episodes earlier." So I'd put it at C. Although, no, it is pretty fun. Speaking of fun, Volume 3 is fun in the first half, but really bad in the second. So, yeah, call me basic, but it is kind of my favorite volume. I remember going, oh crap, for the later half, and going, oh yes, let's go for the first half. It was really fun. Also, everyone really loves Beacon, including Rooster Teeth, which, hey, may be a detriment later on if you guys know something about Rwby Chibi. But this was kind of the pinnacle of what Rwby was back in the day. And granted, now everything's a little bit jumbled and everything's a little bit different, but like back when I was watching the series, this was the peak. You know, like when I got the volume 3, I noticed it was substantially better than 1 or 2. Now, volume 4. I actually really like. I would maybe a B actually. It doesn't. The problem is with Rwby, it started off as an internet series, and the way I always viewed it as high quality YouTube videos, which made me, whenever I looked at them, they seemed kind of different. But volume 4, it started to change a little bit. Like I viewed it as higher quality work. Like I wasn't from the perspective of, oh, this is some anime fan just making a show. Now, and even with the standards I hold up to it, it's still pretty good. Like, I do like Ren and Nora's backstory revealed a little bit. Renza becomes very interesting this arc. And yeah, just everything is pretty solid. Plus, granted, the stuff with the other girls that isn't Rwby is kind of boring, but you kind of need it in order to, like in order to set up everything, you know? Like, we needed that in order for them to all reunite. Now, the Ilya trailer. Yeah, that's what this is. It's the Ilya trailer. It doesn't really have anything too crazy. And also, but it does reveal backstory for Ilya, but looking back on it, this should have been part of the actual story, you know? So I do wonder why it, like, wasn't, because, you know, you kind of want to explore the backstory for characters, but whatever. I guess they don't like lore, except when they do. Okay, Volume 5. You guys know Volume 5 is the worst volume. That's kind of a fact. I think that's one thing that everyone in the place kind of agrees with. The climax is really, really bad and really choppy and just not great. But before that, there were some decent moments, I would say. Like Weiss talking to Yang. It's obviously not Shakespeare, but it's not horrible. So if I were to give it, I think I'd give it an E, just because it, like, F is actually, like, normally when I give something an F, there's like, no, there are no redeeming qualities to this. You sit in the corner and you think about what you've done, because you don't deserve. Like, actually, no. If I were to grade this, would I grade it higher than a 5? Yes, but only a 5. And I think that's what E is. E is basically... E is kind of like 5 out of 10, I guess. It's just barely passing. It's 50%. Like, this is... If this would have been any worse, it would have been a failure. I mean, granted, it is not great, but... Oh, and Adam's trailer. I like Adam's trailer more just because it dives deeper into a character that we already liked. Actually, no. Volume... It's on par with these others. It also maybe should have been in the show, but hey, you do you, Rooster Teeth. Even though these trailers are going to become very confusing to find when people are watching it. So unless you have that order set up on your website, oh wait, you don't. You only have episode to episode to episode. But whatever. Volume 6. Volume 6 is better than 4, but its finale is not that great, and this is kind of when we start seeing Team Rwby not being very heroic, but kind of just being presented as heroic, if that makes sense. As you can probably guess, Judgmental Critter, aka one of the best Rwby YouTubers, made a nice video on the flaws that started showing up in Volume 6, and yeah, I do like it more than 4. Nothing too crazy, but yeah, the start, because this was kind of the in-between arc. This was the in-between volume between Vacuo and, or not Vacuo, between, I don't even know, man, I forget the name of where Volume 5 took place. I'm sorry, I haven't caught up on enough Rwby lore. I haven't burned it into my eyebrows yet. Anyway, moving on. Volume 7. Volume 7 is probably the second best volume? I don't know. It might... I think A? Yeah, A. It's very solid in pretty much every respect. It's just that it kind of gets muddled later on due to Volume 8. But for what we got, I actually really liked it. Also, I don't care too much about the Aesop thing. It just is a little inconsistent, but granted, that hasn't been a problem for a really long time. So, yeah. Alright, next one. Volume 8. So, Volume 8 was really, really good. Really good. And then the finale happened. Like, it would... If the finale... If the bomb went off and then the rest of it was them evacuating, like, they joined back up with Ironwood and he wasn't an antagonist, and, like, all that stuff didn't throw down, like, they were literally... Like, if the bomb blew up in Salem, like, didn't retreat, though, and Ironwood was like, it doesn't matter, Atlas will fall, We have to get like something like that. Something that wasn't, hey, I'm going to bomb Mantle. Then it would have been an S tier. Like if it just kept going the direction it was going without trying to make Ironwood the villain. Like you can make him have disagreements with the heroes, that's fine, but don't make him the villain. And Twin actually made a really good video on that. So check her out. That Ironwood video is amazing. But yeah, so but then the finale happens, and the finale honestly drops it. I think it drops it, because think about it, like, okay, we got like 3/4 of it, I want to say, that were really, really good, and then the last part of it happened, and it's like, shoot. But the rest of it is still good. Like, okay, you're getting a 75 on the test. Sure, you failed 25%, but, you know, you still got the rest of it right. Like, they got the rest of this right, it's just that it couldn't land on its feet. So, I don't know. Oh, and Ice Queendom. Ice Queendom might be one of the more controversial ones. I've seen people hate it. I've seen people love it. I've seen people with garbage takes on it. Like, I remember there's this one. People actually said that it would have been better if it was animated by Rooster Teeth Studios themselves. And I'm like, oh, okay. So instead of getting Sakuga and really good animation most of the time, let's instead put it at Rooster Teeth, that is infamous for overworking their workers. Isn't that a great idea? Give them another show to work on. That is the biggest brain move I have ever heard of my... That is a mega mind move. Right there and then. Let's add another show to the overworked staff at Rooster Teeth. Yes. Perfect. Also, if you're gonna watch it, I hate to say this, because Rwby's voice actors actually do a pretty good job, and they fit into their roles really well. So now their voice acting is pretty good, with the exception of, like, sometimes the odd line. Like, I noticed Weiss normally doesn't sound too great, but in Ice Queendom, man, don't even watch the dub. I've been watching the dub. I've seen the dub and the sub is just superior. Now, granted, this is Rooster, like, this is most of these staff, like, it's their first time dubbing something, so obviously it's not going to be great. You know, and it's not like an abridged series where it doesn't matter how bad you voice act, you just need to say something stupid and people will laugh. Like, it's not like that. They're supposed to try to emulate the Japanese lines, and it doesn't work too well in English. Now, I'm not opposed to them making another anime. I actually would really encourage it, sort of having this branch, because Rooster Teeth does obviously want to make more Rwby, but the problem is, like I said earlier, their staff are really hardworking, and sometimes it's overworked. Now, a good way to fix that is to outsource. So, you know, delay volumes. Oh, but you don't want to delay volumes? Well, you do stuff like this. You have spin-off series. You have OVAs. There's a Justice League movie that's going to cross over with Rwby that I have no idea how good that is going to be. It sounds confusing, but we'll just roll with it. So if I'm actually going to give it a score, though, I'd say maybe worse than Volume 1. Because Volume 1 just has that charm to it. And, you know, it started off, so it's worth something. Actually, because with this, Ice Queendom also has kind of a little bit of a pacing issue. Because they've never been too great about that. I've always been like, oh, they should, you know, insert this dumb... like, oh, they should have just cut out the 3 episodes at the beginning and just made the story worth more. Because the problem is, they cut the story as if the story was going to be 6 episodes. Like, you could probably honestly fit it into 6 episodes. But they have the first 3 recaps. So what I think should have happened is basically turn that story into something that is worthy of 12 episodes and cut out the 3 recaps. Because it does kind of have a pacing issue. Granted, it does summarize Volume 1 generally pretty well, but just watch Volume 1. It's like 2 hours, you know? Why? Like, obviously it has good animation, but that's not... Like, you also watch Rwby because Rwby Volume 1 is funny, man. Like, it's actually really funny. So there's more than one reason to watch it. Whereas the recap, it cuts out a lot of the humor, it cuts out a lot of interactions, it cuts out a lot of fights, just all kinds of stuff. So you have all that, but then they had to shorten the story, and from what it seems like they didn't want to actually like fully contribute. Like, they didn't want to make something that was worth 12 episodes and then try to cram it into 9, so they made something that was worth 6 episodes and then tried to spread it out into 9, if that makes any sense. I know it probably doesn't, but whatever. Anyway, I've spent a lot of time talking about this, so here you are, guys. This is the Rwby volume and trailer tier list. Please send this to other Rwby YouTube creators so they can acknowledge my existence, because that would be very fun. Speaking of having your existence acknowledged, would you guys by any chance be interested in subscribing? No? Okay, it was worth a shot. I'll see you guys later. Sorry about that. Kind of forgot that Volume 4 is really good. So yeah, sorry again. Don't worry, it's up there now. Later.